cannot stand there and pretend this is your wedding.
You said nobody would ever marry a girl like me.
This is all a lie. Where did you get all this money?
Madam, watch your words.
You don't even know who you married.
I know exactly who I married.
Then ask her why she disappeared for 3 years.
3 years.
I was trying to survive. Then let the whole village see what she has been hiding.
Where did you get that?
Because the truth about your past is not what you think it is.
Please, don't throw me out tonight. Amara stood barefoot at the gate, clutching the small cloth bag that contained everything she owned. Mrs. Ngozi folded her arms. You have been eating in my house for 3 years. What exactly have you brought here? Amara lowered her eyes. I have worked for every meal. Worked? Ngozi laughed. You came from the village with nothing. Don't forget your place. The gate slammed shut. That night, Amara slept beneath the old mango tree outside the compound. She cried quietly. But before dawn, she wiped her tears and whispered, "One day, I will return here differently." 6 years later, she did, but nobody in the village recognized her. 6 years earlier, Amara had arrived in the village of Omwaba with one faded wrapper, a small bag, and a dream that seemed too big for the life she was living. Her mother had died when she was 16. Her father had disappeared years before. With no money for university and no relative willing to help, Amara moved to the city to work as a housemaid for Mrs. Ngozi. Ngozi lived in a beautiful compound with her husband, Chief Emeka, and their 2 children. At first, Amara believed she had found a home. She was wrong. Every morning, she woke before everyone else. She cleaned the compound, she cooked, she washed clothes, she prepared the children for school, and when everyone ate, she waited until the plates were nearly empty. One afternoon, Ngozi caught Amara eating a piece of chicken from the kitchen. "What are you doing?" Amara froze. "I'm sorry, Ma. I was hungry." Ngozi snatched the plate from her hand. "You are a maid, not a member of this family." Amara swallowed her tears. "Yes, Ma." Ngozi looked her up and down. "Girls like you should be grateful to have a roof over their heads." Amara said nothing, but Chief Emeka had noticed everything. One evening, he quietly placed some money in her hand. "Keep this. You deserve better." Amara shook her head. "Sir, thank you." Ngozi saw them from the staircase. The next morning, Amara was accused of stealing. "My gold bracelet is missing," Ngozi screamed. Amara searched every corner of the house. "I didn't take it." Ngozi slapped the table. "Who else could have taken it?" Amara cried, "Please believe me." But Ngozi had already called the neighbors. Soon the compound was full of people. They whispered, "She came from the village." What do you expect? Poor people always want what rich people have. Amara stood there trembling. Then Chief Emeka entered. He looked at his wife. "Enough." Ngozi glared at him. "Are you defending her?" "I am saying we should search properly." An hour later, the bracelet was found inside Ngozi's own wardrobe. The compound became silent. Ngozi picked it up without apologizing. Instead, she looked at Amara. "Go back to the kitchen." That was the first time Amara understood something. Some people could hurt you and still refuse to admit they were wrong. She endured. Months passed. Amara saved every little amount she could. At night, when everyone slept, she studied business lessons on an old phone borrowed from the houseboy. She learned accounting. She learned marketing. She learned how businesses grew. And slowly, She began selling homemade snacks to workers near the compound. Her small business made little money, but it was hers. Then one afternoon, Ngozi discovered the business. "You have been selling things while working in my house?" "I only do it after my duties." "Who gave you permission?" Amara tried to explain. Ngozi grabbed the bag containing her money. "You will not build a business from inside my house." She emptied the money onto the floor. Amara fell to her knees. "Please, Ma, that is everything I have." Ngozi smiled. "Then learn your lesson." She walked away. Amara gathered the money from the floor, one note at a time. That night, she made a decision. She would leave. She waited until Chief Emeka returned and told him everything. He looked heartbroken. "I'm sorry, Amara." She shook her head. "Don't be sorry, sir. I just need one chance." He helped her find a small room. Amara left with almost nothing. For the first time in years, she was free. She started again. She sold food, then packaged food. Then she supplied 2 shops. 1 became 5, 5 became 20. Amara worked until her hands hurt. She failed. She cried. She started again. 3 years later, her company had become one of the fastest growing food brands in the region. But Amara never returned to the village. She did not need revenge. She needed peace. Then one morning, an invitation arrived. Her childhood village was celebrating its annual festival, and Amara had decided to return. Not as the poor girl everyone remembered, she returned in a convoy. 3 black SUVs rolled into Umoba. People stopped walking. Children ran after the cars. The first vehicle opened. Amara stepped out. She wore an elegant emerald green gown, expensive jewelry, and a confident smile. Nobody recognized her. Then she turned. The entire village went silent. "Amara?" She smiled. Yes. The woman who once mocked her poverty nearly dropped the basket in her hands. It was Ngozi. She stared at Amara. "You?" Amara replied calmly. "So do you." But that was not the biggest surprise. Behind Amara came a handsome man in an expensive traditional outfit. He was Daniel, the founder of a major construction company. He walked to Amara and gently held her hand. Ngozi stared. "Who is he?" Amara smiled. "My fiancé." The village erupted. For years, Ngozi had told everyone that Amara would never amount to anything. Now, Amara was returning to marry one of the most respected businessmen in the region. But Ngozi was not ready to accept it. She began spreading rumors. She only became rich through dirty money. She's pretending. She thinks money can change where she came from. Then came the wedding day. The village square was transformed. Beautiful decorations covered the compound. Luxury cars filled the road. Guests arrived from Lagos, Abuja, and beyond. Then Daniel stood before the crowd and announced something unexpected. "This wedding is not only a celebration of love." He pointed toward the village school. "Today, my wife-to-be and I are donating funds to rebuild it." The crowd cheered. Then Amara stepped forward. "And I am establishing a scholarship for girls from poor families." The same people who once mocked her poverty began clapping. Ngozi stood at the back. Her face was hard. She could not bear it. Then a bank manager approached her. "Madam Ngozi." She turned. "Yes, I need you to sign these documents." "What documents?" "The final papers concerning your house." Her smile disappeared. My house? The manager lowered his voice. Your mortgage has been in default for months. Ngozi's hands began shaking. Her husband's business had collapsed. Their debts had swallowed their savings. The house was being repossessed. And worse, Chief Omeka had already left. He had finally walked away after years of watching Ngozi destroy everyone around her. Ngozi looked across the wedding ground. Her children stood beside their father. Neither child came to her. She had spent years teaching them that poor people were beneath them. Now they were ashamed of her behavior. Ngozi slowly walked toward Amara. Please. Amara looked at her. I know I don't deserve to ask you. Amara remained silent. Ngozi's voice broke. I lost everything. Amara looked at the woman who once thrown her out into the night. You didn't lose everything today, Ngozi. Ngozi looked confused. You lost people long before you lost your house. Tears rolled down Ngozi's face. Can you forgive me? Amara breathed slowly. Yes. Ngozi stared at her. You can? Yes. But forgiveness doesn't mean I will return to the life you gave me. Amara turned toward Daniel. He held out his hand. She took it. The wedding continued, and for the first time, Amara understood something she had once been too hurt to believe. Her poverty had never been her identity. It had only been a chapter. As she walked toward the altar, the villagers who once laughed at her stood quietly. Some were ashamed, some were amazed, and some finally learnt the lesson Amara had learnt years before. Never measure a person's future by their present condition. Amara looked back once at the village, then she smiled. I didn't come back to prove them wrong, she whispered. I came back to prove myself right. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Gracious Folktales and turn on notifications because every story has a lesson, and sometimes the person everyone overlooks is the one destiny has been preparing all along. And Amara, she never went back to that old life. She built a new one, and this time nobody could throw her out. The end.